North and South Carolina are currently going through it when it comes to their sports teams. Both the Panthers and Hornets are complete disasters after a half decade of rebuilding. Both teams seem to have no direction and little bright spots on their team despite the many years of terrible play. As I was talking about the future of Indiana sports and how bright it was, Charlotte and Carolina sports are on the complete opposite side. These two teams form the worst possible future in the entire US. But before we get started, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let's start with the Panthers, who might be in the worst position I've ever seen a professional team be in ever. The Panthers have fallen off ever since Cam Newton took them to the Super Bowl in 2015. They last made the playoffs in 2017 and have not had an above 500 record since 2017. They have not even sniffed 500 either. They have been through 7 coaches in 7 years, multiple GMs, and they are victims to terrible decision after terrible decision by the front office. To make it even worse, they have the worst owner by far in the league with David Tepper. Ever since Cam Newton left this team, there has been no positives except for DJ Moore and CMC, who left. The era of Cam Newton, Olsen, and Kuechly are long gone, as the Panthers are in the deepest, darkest hole I've ever seen a team be in. Let's talk about some of the worst decisions they've made so far. And let's start with the decision to trade CMC when he was asking for a new contract. McCaffrey had already proven to be a top back in the league, but he was a little injury riddled, so the Panthers decided to trade him away to the Niners. It doesn't help that he immediately helped them make the Super Bowl in his next season with an Offensive Player of the Year campaign. Also, he is such a quarterback-friendly running back as well, someone to help out a rookie quarterback. The Panthers got back a second, third, and fourth, and fifth, but the only player left on the Panthers is 5th-round corner Chau Smith-Wade. The other picks were traded to the Steelers and Jaguars, so the Panthers let go of an Offensive Player of the Year for a 5th-round corner, while CMC would be wasting away with the current-day Carolina Panthers. At least their offense would be watchable. However, this isn't the worst trade, as they gave up Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Tyreek Stevenson, and a 2025 second for Bryce Young, as they traded with the Bears to select him first overall in the 2023 draft, passing on CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson. Through 18 games, Bryce Young has a 2-16 record and has played terribly to the point where he has been benched. In his first season with the Panthers, everything was a complete disaster. His offensive line was horrible, he had no weapons to throw to, and was given nothing to work with. He was thrown into a terrible situation as a first overall pick. He had games and moments where he played well, but they were few and far between. But after investing draft capital, money, and a new coach to the offense to help Bryce Young, the offense looks even worse. Bryce Young's confidence has been completely shattered, and he is not even taking a chance on open receivers. I feel bad for Bryce, and I hope he can turn around, but being benched certainly doesn't help his confidence. If Andy Dalton can make the Panthers offense look functional next week, Bryce Young might be in trouble for this season, and his future in the NFL is in question. After just being selected first overall a year ago at a very expensive price, he has been benched with a lot of question marks surrounding his name. When investing into the offense over the offseason, the Panthers had to take some losses on defense. They lost a lot of great players like Frank Luvu, Jeremy Chin, and Brian Burns. A young, scrappy defense was now torn apart for this offense. To make it even worse, their best player from their team, defensive tackle Derek Brown, is out for the season, and their best corner, J.C. Horn, has just been getting burned all season as well. Nothing is going well for the Panthers. Their offense isn't good enough to keep their defense off the field and rested as they get gashed every drive. They have allowed 73 points in their first 2 games so far, while only scoring 13, a negative 60-point differential. They could easily set a record if they play like this. A season full of hope and optimism has quickly been shattered in Carolina. And lastly, I want to talk about the future of the Panthers, because this might be, no joke, the worst position I've ever seen a professional sports team be in. They are likely to win 2 games max and might go winless and become the first 0-7 team in NFL history. With that record, they will have the first overall pick. However, what would you do with the first overall pick this season? Are you going to pick another quarterback in an okay class and put him through the same situation? Will they have to endure another terrible season in 2025 to have a shot at Arch Manning to bring him in? I would assume after 2 atrocious seasons, Canales would be out of the building and they would have a new regime already. Let's say this does happen, and Arch Manning is under center for Carolina in 2026. The Panthers have proven to not draft the right talent for their quarterback. Jonathan Mingo already looks like a bust, Terrence Marshall Jr. hasn't done anything, and their offensive line drafting hasn't been good either. Not only that, but even when they do find talent on their team, they are quick to move on from them and trade them away. The number one reason why I think the Panthers are stuck in the worst position I have ever seen is not because of the consistent draft misses, or the horrible front office decisions, or even the revolving door at head coach. David Tepper has proven to be the worst owner in the entire league, as he has consistently gotten in the way of front office decisions and he has made terrible decisions. He has depleted his roster of previous talent, failed to trust the people he's employed to do their job correctly, and the culture in the building and within the organization is also terrible, as they probably aren't even on the same page. as when they traded for the first overall pick last year, they didn't even know who they were going to draft. Their culture seems to be the issue, as many players who leave Carolina seem to play better and be happier. Look at DJ Moore, CMC, Baker, and Sam Darnold. That all starts with their owner David Tepper, and as long as he owns the team, I don't see their situation getting any better due to his impatience and lack of belief in growing his team. The Panthers are truly in a worst-case scenario. Moving on to the Hornets, they have not made the playoffs since the 2015-16 season. They have not even sniffed a 500 record since the 2016 season. They have by far the worst culture in the NBA. They also might have the worst scouting department in the NBA. The Hornets have been a mess for the past couple of years and have been a laughingstock. The only exciting part about this team are the announcers. LaMelo Ball has been the lone bright spot for the Hornets, but he has always been injured. He played 22 games last year and 36 the previous season, not to mention 51 in his rookie year. LaMelo can be a star in this league, and he has all the talent and has shown that on the court. PJ Washington, Miles Bridges, and Brandon Miller all have had some controversial cultural issues while being on the Hornets. Other Flyers like Kai Jones and James Bouknight have not panned out for this team either. Heading into the next season, the Hornets look to make a leap to at least make a play-in spot. Hopefully they can try to sneak into the playoffs, but that has been their expectation for the past 2-3 years. Their only issue is LaMelo Ball, their lone star, could see a dark, abrupt end in Charlotte if his injury trend continues. Brandon Miller played well in his rookie season and should take a sophomore leap to being a great player in this league. And Miles Bridges is a very solid piece and looked to become a star in this league before he got suspended. However, the issue with the Hornets is that they keep picking the same position. They drafted Tijan Salan, who is a project forward out of France. If there is one place that has not been good at developing young players, it has been Charlotte. Look at Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Noah Vonleh, and Frank Kaminsky are prime examples, and have yet again the Hornets are picking the same position over and over again in the first round. They do not give these players a chance to develop correctly. Another issue with the Hornets is that they have no commanding vets in the locker room to help lead the team. They have a 39-year-old Taj Gibson and a 34-year-old Seth Curry. Two vets who are past their prime and have never been the leader of the locker room. They also don't have the same coach that commands respect to help fix the culture in Charlotte. For example, look at OKC. They have one of the youngest rosters in the league with no notable veterans last season, but SGA leads by example and Mark Daigneault commands respect for the team. They have formed a great team chemistry and are a contender because of it. LaMelo can't be the leader of the team when he is always injured and fooling around. The Hornets' biggest issue is culture, and they need a drastic change in order for their team to turn around. Find their own Ime Udoka or a solid leader vet who wants to play in Charlotte. When talking about their future, they are nowhere near as bad as the Panthers, but their culture in the locker room and around the team is what's holding this team back. Alongside LaMelo Ball always staying injured and not panning out in the way we all hoped so far in his young career, trouble always seems to find this team. The lack of ability to develop players and their culture remaining the same, I see the Hornets remaining mediocre for the foreseeable future. Brandon Miller could take over this team, but he doesn't have the talent of LaMelo to lead a team to the deep playoff runs. With the East getting better, the Hornets might find themselves at the bottom for the 9th consecutive season. It has been complete mediocrity and misery for the Hornets, as they have been a complete joke and a meme team for the past couple years. The Panthers and Hornets have all of Charlotte and both Carolinas completely checked out of their sports scene. Both teams have been abysmal for the past half-decade, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any time better, especially for the Panthers. Through bad ownership, terrible cultures, and a lack of young bright spots on each team, Carolina fans have it worst. They at least had to sacrifice the Hornets and Panthers for some playoff exits for the Hurricanes. Let me know what you guys think of the Carolina situation, and if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe.